Hello, everybody. It's Bill, and I am live in front of a non-live audience.
We're live. What are you talking?
I think I count, right?
Right?
What's up?
Check your pulse.
Check your pulse. So, in this episode, we're going to talk about past, present, and future, and how it affects wargaming in many different ways. And we'll catch up on some news. We might catch up on what you've been doing in the hobby world, and many, many, many things after this. In 3, 2, 1. And we're back. And thank you guys for joining us on this next episode of the SITREP Podcast. This is season 11 or 12. Can't remember. 11, I think. And this is episode, I believe, 5. 5? 4, 5. One of those. I really need to keep track of our stuff.
However you label it, sir.
So joining me in the wide, wide world of the interwebs is on the remote screen, we have Mr. Chris.
Howdy, everyone.
And we have Mr. Big Jim Oriskany. And we have Marty. And then here at the round table of gaming, we have Jesse.
Hello.
And Donnie.
Hey, everybody.
So, Jim, I think there has been will be an unseating to the largest artificial reef sunk in the Florida Gulf. Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico, whatever in the world is called.
Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
I don't know. If it's on Google, it's true.
But anyways.
Don't give a shit.
Why can't it be the Gulf of North America? I mean, geez. I mean, it's.
How about before we get into any of that? Before we get into any of that, wanted to send out a huge shout out to our friend of the channel. One of the reasons we're actually still up and we still have games to put out to you guys. Dylan, LSR 2590, aka he's the guy who helped us run our Iwo Jima game recently. Right now, he is in Brisbane, in Queensland, Australia, and square in the crosshairs of tropical Cyclone Alfred, I think they call it. It's a Category 2 hurricane. It's just in a different part of the world. They call it a cyclone.
Yeah.
So I've been in touch with them on Discord. Things are okay so far. He says he's not in the flood zone. And as we all know, I mean, you guys were in the Keys for a while. Storm surge is the killer there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So then again, like we saw up with like storms like Sandy up in New York, when an area that is not prepared or does not get hit with storms all the time, like Florida does, we barely notice a hurricane until it's at least a 2.
Yeah.
Category 1, we all go down to the elbow room in Fort Lauderdale Beach and throw
hurricane party.
Hurricane 2, okay, we'll take the day off of work. Hurricane 3, okay, we'll actually start hanging up some plywood then.
Right.
But anyway,
yeah, our thoughts are out to him.
Yeah, totally.
Out to him.
We go through hurricanes like 2 or 3 of them a year down here, and we know the pain that he's going to be going through. He's going to be in the 70s for a good week after this. No cash economy, long lines at the gas pump, and no one's got a credit card, no one's got internet.
Yep. So our thoughts are out to him and his family, and also to Colin from Dish Dash Publishing. He's out there in the down under. So best wishes to all them. Actually, I not to jump off the track. Well, let's get back to the almost the throning of the Oriskany.
We're off the
I know, right?
Rails
Friday
already.
nights, baby. Friday nights. There is a new queen about to be crowned, the largest artificial reef, and that's the SS United States.
She just passed by us last week. I saw her from Deerfield Beach.
Did you get to see her, Jim?
That's
I'm so
awesome.
jealous,
Yes, I did.
man.
I was right there.
Man.
Super cool.
I'm kicking myself for not taking a picture, but I was like, is that the United States?
Yeah.
Because there was a couple of those new monstrosities that they
Yeah.
have out there, those huge, ugly, disgusting, floating temples to obscene capitalism and anyway. And then right next to it was this beautiful, beautiful ship, double stacks.
Yeah.
Of course she's so far away, you can't see all the damage and rust and erosion. She's just this beautiful silhouette right on the horizon.
Yeah.
I thought she had 4 stacks.
No, 2 stacks. 2 stacks.
Two big ones.
She, I've been following it since she left, and some of the pictures along the coast have been just, especially like at sunrise, sunset, the golden hours. And I did see one where they had a, modern cruise ship in the background, and the size difference is amazing. But you're right, Jim. There is something about that classic line that it's. I'll be honest with you. I'll be planning a dive trip. I'll be getting back into shape when they finally sink her. We'll be going diving.
I'm going to do some quick Google foo here. What's the displacement on that ship?
I think we just found Bill's next project. He's going to
Lord
build a
knows
ship,
we need that.
own it, and operate a cruise ship.
Yeah, no, it's already been bought by the counties down there, and they're going to sink her and make her an artificial reef.
Can I be Julie McCoy, the cruise
Of course
director?
you can.
Sweet.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she might actually be heavier.
Marty will be Isaac.
The biggest ship that's sold to an artificial reef.
Let's go.
Chris will be Gopher.
Oh yeah.
Jim will be Captain Stubing.
990 feet is her length. Her displacement is 45,000 tons. So, yeah, Oriskany was an Essex class carrier. In fact, she was the last Essex class carrier ever built. So 35,000 tons.
Yeah.
880 feet. So, yeah, United States will be bigger.
Yeah.
Nice.
I thought they were going to scrap her. They're going to go ahead and sink her.
They were. Well, so I have been following her for a long time because originally the plan was to restore her and turn her into a museum. Then it was going to be a hotel casino. And then they were going to take it up to New York and get it reconditioned to sit next to, is it the Hornet that's up in New York, Jim? The Air Museum?
Intrepid. USS Intrepid's up there.
So the Intrepid, and because it is the last American-built steamship, it is the last quote-unquote surviving member of when we built ships, those kind of ships. Everything else now is built in the Netherlands and, somewhere overseas. And you look at pictures of her, she wasn't as elegant as, like, say, the Titanic, but it was a different era. She's still floating, and she still holds the transatlantic record for
America.
So, got to give it to her. I would love to do the QE2 cross. Is it the QE2? I think it's the QE2 crossing. One of these days we'll do a transatlantic trip. Do the whole Gussie thing, tuxedos and cigar bars and all that bougie stuff.
You are the one that won't do a cruise. I'm just
that one I would do.
That out there.
That one I do because there won't be any booger pickers on that cruise, and there will be no plastic slides and all that crap.
And the two of you at the bow with your arms outstretched.
Anywho.
And cue copyrighted music. Okay.
Let's talk the world of gaming. So,
let's do that.
Jesse, what you been up to? Let's start off with you.
Work.
My quiet one.
Work.
That's not true. You magic too.
He did some magic.
But I haven't really been in the hobby stuff for a while.
We're gonna get him into some hobby. He's gonna play. What are you doing tomorrow? You're going to play some Blackout with me because we got to record Blackout finally.
Oh, there we go.
So that I'm kind of leading into my hobby, but it's a sci-fi skirmish combat game.
Oh, is that?
It's the stuff that's sitting right over there.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I'm okay with
Jesse gonna get him some dusters and wax your ass.
Done.
Do you really want me to hijack this conversation?
Not really.
Today is Lorcana Arcasia's Island release day. So
I don't know what that means.
I'm trying
Is
to.
that good?
Well, it's a made up place. It's awesome. It's the latest set for the Ravensburger Disney Lorcana game, and the cards are awesome. And even better, I got an enchanted card, an enchanted Mickey Mouse. It was pretty sweet. Jesse saw it.
How much is it worth?
Right now, $300.
All right, sell it. We can get our money back.
Negative. I'm not selling Mickey Mouse. That is bad form. Bad form. No, and I don't want to totally waylay the conversation, but what I do want to say is that I am finding it so fascinating to be in on this game from when it first started.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't in Magic from its beginning, and it's been very fascinating watching how the game itself is evolving and the types of cards and things that you can do within the game are evolving. because to be fair, especially after playing something like Magic that's been around for a really long time, can feel a little boring, like especially initially. Like I love it because of the theme, no matter what.
Right.
But it is getting more and more interesting, the things that they're adding to it. So pretty cool.
All right.
That's what I've been doing.
Okay.
You can sit in one of our 4 or 5 hour Panzer Leader games, Dawn, and your Magic will never feel boring again.
Okay, awesome. Duly noted.
I have some Warhammer games where it's literally an hour per turn per person for 7-8 hours.
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. That's one of the things that's kind of turned me off from Warhammer is that kind of stuff. But so, what have I been doing? Dawn, or can you? I guess I should have grabbed some. Jesse, can you grab one of each?
Right now,
yeah, you're not gonna be able to see anyways. Never mind.
So.
Well, you'll see it on the video. So I painted both factions, the UN and
tell the class.
Blackout. By who makes it?
Well, it was Enemy Spotted Studios. Is it still
Enemy Spotted
Marty,
Studios for Blackout?
So yes, Blackout is run by Enemy Spotted Studios. They broke off in country, which is Echo Dark Studios.
Nailed it.
Okay.
I don't get it correct.
So we can talk about that later, but you should never, rebranding when you're split. It's too confusing. But anyways, so I completed both starter sets. So I have the UN and what's the other set called there? I can't read the name. Harkins or something like that. I kind of followed the box, but not really. They
look really good.
The Harkins are kind of an Earth planetary based force, and so they have more of Earth colors, browns, tans, greens, more traditional military types. They even had freaking Siloom sticks. So
Julian and his guys that designed those.
How's that?
I've never heard that term before.
This is the same guy that made 28 millimeter, like almost true scale guys.
Yeah.
And he put watches with hands on their wrists.
Yeah.
Trying to drive people.
So, the one force, the Harkum, forgive me if I'm not pronouncing it right. We'll pronounce it right in the video, but they have green, like neon green, and the UN force has like neon red chem lights. I went a little off the reservation on the UN because I'm like, you know what? This is a futuristic fighting force. And on the box, they're mostly kind of gray and white uniforms with a little touch of blue in here. Oh, no. If you're UN, we're promoting you as UN, because what happens when you're on a UN peacekeeping mission? They wear that big big blue helmet, right? That says, shoot me here. Shoot me here.
I was going to say,
don't forget now.
Just get your airbrush out, paint them all baby blue, and put a bunch of bullet holes in them.
So they're not baby blue, but they are different shades of blue, blue-gray, and like that. So you can tell it's a UN force. Yeah, what we're going to... Dawn's going to build the scenery tomorrow. She doesn't know it yet, but it's actually the battle system stuff, the paper stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to build
she likes building things.
I do.
That's
I
okay.
do. I'm in.
So, and I worked a little bit on skin tones on Captain Winters. I tell you what, I hate skin. I really, really hate skin.
Again with the weird sentence.
I know, right?
But it
kind of necessary.
So
clip that one. We'll use it later. That and just kind of keep an eye out on some different things. There's a Kickstarter out for G.I. Joe. We're coming soon. For G.I. Joe. I'm torn because it's a tabletop miniatures game. I'm torn because it's the 80s G.I. Joe, the 3 3/4, the All-American Hero set. I had the original issue, the first issue. Chris and I, my brother, we got them all for Christmas. We got the collector's case, and unfortunately, God knows what happened to them, and they're probably worth money now. But I am a diehard 12-inch original action soldier, action marine. The original set and the adventure team. I had a really nice collection before we decided to go to Florida and live on a boat. And now there's G.I. Joe conventions that are all around me here in Tennessee. So
they like stuff here.
I might be buying some Joes.
Again.
But why are you torn on the...
Because I'm not sure if I want to invest in 3/4 because it's not my thing. But I have good memories, and I actually have the G.I. Joe deck building game, which is based on the 80s 3 3/4 guys. So I think that they kind of jumped the shark later in their life with some weird characters. And the G.I. Joe movies are okay. They're a little lame in some point, but
They're literally carbon copies of the TV show.
Yeah, but anyways, that's what I've been up to. Chris, what's up, man? What you been up to?
Just a little D&D and a lot of work.
Yeah.
D&D.
D&D.
We never got around.
Who came? Is it the new? Yeah. So you got all the new book. Have you gotten all the new books yet, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think? I know the other show. I kind of knocked on it, and I really shouldn't because I have not even seen them. I do miss playing.
It.
Yeah.
Now, you're never going to please everybody. There are some things that I don't like about the Monster Manual, but the things I do like about the Monster Manual completely outweigh the things. The pros outweigh the cons on all three books.
Yeah.
So, and it's like going to a movie, sometimes you just got to say, I'm here for the enjoyment,
Yep.
I don't want to get into the whatevs.
Right.
You don't want the technical specs on the made up monsters to be right?
No. I want those, but they're, they got rid of the
text.
Yeah, they got rid of. I'll tell you what.
What did they get rid of?
They're
Chris?
definitely orcs.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is this that stupid paragraph that be
racist.
compassionate about and it's racist?
No, they also got.
Fuck them.
They got. Calm down. Like, there was a lot of pushback on that, so they're going to be
anger here.
Goblins weren't taken.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah. But
we have as a human race, we have gone off the deep end. We're out of the reservation. We have gone past Looney Bin.
Hey, it was Chris's turn.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say, now that Dan Bongino's off the air, go ahead, Bill.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's
there is a vacuum in you too,
and they are going to come. Enough people push back that I think they're going to make a comeback.
They're just going to use it to another way to make.
You know what?
Yeah.
Poor Gary Gygax. He's got to be
Jesse.
rolling in his grave, and we do have to say, our thoughts are to his family because his son just passed away, Ernest. Yeah. So, our thoughts are out to them. But come on, it's a game for fuck's sake. It is a make-believe game.
Don't worry, they're doing it to Lord of the Rings.
No, they better not be doing it to Lord of the Rings.
Hey,
whoa!
Jesse, you shut your horse mouth.
You shut your commie mouth, boy.
We had Tolkien and our sermon on Wednesday night.
We did. It was awesome.
I'm well aware.
But
if you're worried about
they're a bunch of idiots.
Go ahead, Jim.
If you're worried about Tolkien or Lord of the Rings going politically correct, I'm afraid you missed that friggin' bus.
No. Even more than it already was. Like, I understand that they were
you guys seen Rings of fucking Power?
Yes.
That was.
We
don't talk about that.
Christmas special for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Okay?
You're comparing it to the Christmas special for Star Wars? Not that bad.
Yes,
not
it is.
that, I mean,
Yeah,
No, dude.
It was pretty bad.
Even though that is a tradition now, we do enjoy watching the terrible Christmas.
I just have to fast forward the one.
Yeah, that's funny, man. You gotta watch what's his name pour the booze. You gotta watch what's his name pour the booze directly into his brain at the end of the show.
We could at least compare it to the Ewok show because that was still just as bad.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, Chris. I hijacked you. What else you got going on, buddy?
No, I was just gonna say the other night we fought a Tarask. The new monster manual will bring the hurt. The new monsters definitely bring the hurt.
What's a Tarask, Chris?
Tarasks were not easy back in the day.
I don't recall.
They're
It's a Godzilla.
Tarask is Godzilla for the trademark challenged.
Yeah.
Godzilla.
Tarask back in second edition. We dropped some characters on that one.
Yeah.
It was back in second edition, Jim. You know what? How could I miss Godzilla?
It is the largest thing.
I don't remember. I thought T-Mat was the largest
At least
thing.
back then, I think it was unique. I think there was like literally one of them, depending on what source book. I forgot.
Wasn't that how you knew your DM hated you?
Yes.
They just named the session TPK. I'm like, oh, guess what you see?
It depends on what level your party is, but
Yeah.
we weren't super high powerful. This is 30 years ago. But we weren't noobs either. We were all like 8th to 12th level, and there were quite a few of us. And I can't remember it because it's like 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Second edition, we dropped a couple.
Yeah, bet.
But the artwork in the manuals is phenomenal.
I guess we'll check it out. I mean, I think to be fair, we should buy them.
To be fair, there is a very nice.
You know what?
special
There's
edition
nothing
Front
that
Lines.
beats an original set of first edition or second edition AD&D.
The paperback? Or
No,
you
the
talking about
hardback
just-
books.
Oh, okay.
There's something about that classic artwork. And I know I'm probably because that was the
It's a
time I grew up.
nostalgia
It's a
thing,
nostalgia
yeah.
thing, and people who
Yeah.
are growing up with the
You flip
fifth
through
edition.
like the second edition monster manual, and some of the art is legit bad. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
It is.
Sitting with a napkin and a ballpoint pen, but you're right. You look at it and you have like that soft spot for it. You're
I was
like,
gonna say, but you look
Yeah.
at it and you're like, it's like a warm hug.
Yes.
You're like,
Yeah.
oh, look at that.
that looks
Yeah.
awesome. No, it doesn't.
Well, I really think that some of those stuff came straight off of a petroglyph.
It's possible. I mean, think about it. They probably had people who weren't really artists that were part of the TSR staff that were drawing monsters to make the monster manual. And you think about some of those.
Jesse, Bob called off today. We need you to draw us a dragon.
You're
Yeah.
like some of the human characters are things. I mean, you guys have seen my stuff on Facebook and
Yeah.
on Discord and stuff. There are some of those drawings, like the human characters, monsters. Who knows? Because they're monsters, but like the humans and the elves or whatever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Those proportions were not drawn by anybody who'd been to any kind of art school.
Hey,
Yeah.
They would not have graduated.
Now,
Go
one thing.
back and try it again.
They were just ahead of their time. It was heroic scale.
Yes.
There you go.
Now, one thing, Bill, that you guys will like,
What's that?
if you want to think back of the original stuff, they pay a lot of homage to the original D&D cartoon.
Well, you didn't like
Little
the
Saturday
cartoon?
morning cartoon.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Yeah, I
definitely.
mean, I'm
like
just saying.
No, I get
It's
you. I
there.
get what you're saying, Chris. I'm just trying to think back to the cartoon. While I watched it, I didn't feel it was D&D.
Yeah.
Nobody died.
Kids.
The fights
and
weren't even that good.
no, and
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
I don't know. It was it was the 80s, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
it was very He-Man-esque, as I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Hey.
what I'm just getting at is some of the old spells, the hat of many spells, where remember the wizard would reach into his hat and pull out a random spell,
Yeah.
or the guy with the arrow. All he had to do was pull it back, and it
Right.
automatically.
Right.
Yeah. So those are there,
Okay.
and they also brought back the original campaign.
Which one? Badlands.
Greyhawk.
Oh.
Greyhawk.
In the Greyhawk. Okay.
Yeah, so Greyhawk is like the last 30 pages of the book, or
Oh, they included
Something
it
like
in the
that.
book, huh?
That's cool.
I remember when being a kid, and this obviously isn't a D&D show, but I remember being a kid and looking in what was it Dragon magazine, and TSR put out, and looking at what the next campaign. What is the scenarios called?
modules.
Modules. Thank you.
Modules back then.
The modules would come out, and you say, "Oh, I got to get this one," and and we're gonna play this on Saturday, because I had a group of guys I played with in Marywood, which is a neighborhood in Aurora, and we all sit there on Saturdays and play until the parents kicked us out of the house, and but yeah. Sometimes I feel like kids don't have that anymore, and man, I sound like a boomer. I sound like a fucking old guy.
Like
You do.
Did you ever do Throne of Bloodstone in second edition? Talk about modules.
I don't recall that one.
I don't
Jim.
remember.
At the end of the module, this is 30 years ago. At the end of the module, you have to slay Tiamat.
Damn it.
So you're already at the bottom of the 9 hells. You have to slay
Yeah.
Tiamat, take out her heart. And the only reason you have to do that's not even the objective. That's just the enabling objective. You have to carry her heart with you, because the real villain is at the bottom of the 666 layers of the abyss. You have to slay Orcus. And the only way to slay Orcus is to put his wand, is to thrust it into Tiamat's heart.
Wow.
And at the back of the module, they give you 3 characters to kind of play if you want to. 3 100th level characters.
Holy crap.
100th level,
Let you go
100th level mage, 100th level fighter, 100th level thief.
That's crazy.
If that
We
doesn't
didn't
tell you
use
a little
those.
something about what you need to get through that.
You have to
yeah.
fight Tiamat, and that's just to get started. Yeah. You eventually have to slay Orcus.
That's why.
And the only way you're getting through the abyss is to make all these deals with Pazuzu and whatever characters you don't drop to party kills or whatever to actual combat depth, you're going to lose your alignment. You're not coming through that alignment wise. We went through it we had like this huge party. I say party like both party like a D&D party, like a party at this dude's house. It was like 25 people. We had 3 dungeon masters. I was one of them. I don't know shit about running D&D, but there was the main dungeon master. Then I was tactical. I just ran the maps. I was like, who likes drawing maps? I'm like, dude, fuck
I just ran the maps. Born. Yeah.
We had a third guy just doing all supplies, spell components and stuff like he was logistics. So he was S4, I was S3, and then we had like the main guy. And then we had like 25 characters, and we were all at least like 20th level. And dropped a couple, and whatever. For every character that died, 2 more were like chaotic evil. At the end of the episode, we owed how many? We have to go home and former paladins, 20th level paladins, have to build like 5 temples to Pazuzu now, and it's bad. You will not come through that module hole.
Wow.
I can just see you, Jim, doing the maps. You're like, are we doing WGS 84? What are we?
It's way back in the 90s, but still, there was one where we were trying to fight our way up to the top of a tower, and there's like the big room at the top of the tower. But again, there's like 30 people in our party, and it's like there's like this snake of people. We're like waiting in line at Disney World to go on the line, and the wizard at the back casts chain lightning. We're like, are you fucking stoned? You just He's like, well, it's my most high powered spell. We're up against this god awful monster or whatever it was. I'm like, do you see the map?
Yeah,
he's not used to like a map that like
wizard though.
Yeah, I cast roast everybody.
Yeah.
I didn't ask how big the room was. I said fireball.
The final option. Kill everything. A lot of
players aren't used to because it depends on your style of play.
Yeah.
Like my big game was Werewolf the Apocalypse. You don't usually have like a X grid or a graph paper grid or anything. You just have you keep it all in your head as far as the geography of the game, because it usually doesn't matter, but sometimes it matters.
Yeah.
And players who weren't used to there's one of the DMs, all he's doing is running the maps, so we know exactly where everybody is. We have 30 people in the party, but only 10 of us can fight in the room at one time. There's only that much room. We're almost like Titus Polo at the beginning of Rome, where you blow the whistle and the next guy comes up. And the rest of us are sitting back there like, is it our turn yet? We're like, chain lightning. And you're in the fight now. Look at the fight side.
Look at that.
Yeah. Question: if there's just this one big tower and there's a bunch of people and they just blow up the tower from the outside.
I don't think this is a 30-year-old game. I just remember the general map and the fact that there's 2/3 of the parties in a spiral,
spiral staircase.
Literally waiting in line at the amusement park.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Marty, what have you been up to?
Go ahead.
So I've been continuing on my saga Vikings. I have 4, 8, 16.
He's doing Vikings.
They said there'd be no math. I have 19 done. I have 12 that are primed and 9 that are in progress.
Wow.
I kind of held off on that because every year Badger Games does a painting contest for Adepticon.
Yep.
And if you've ever been in it previously, they automatically send you an email to say, hey, we're doing it again. Do you want one? And of course I say yes. So then they send everybody the exact same figure, and you have to paint it up. You're not allowed to convert it. You can't put it on a plinth. It has to be on a appropriate size base. They'll let you change the base, but you can't make it like a plinth or some sort of crazy decorative base. So they've got some basic rules there to cover that stuff. So I got that Monday. I think it arrived Monday or Tuesday this week. It arrived. So I don't know if we can see that guy. That's work in progress.
Okay.
Space orc going on there. Some old school guy.
There you go.
So he's got really. All I've got done is the skin, and I started his pants. The rest of that's just a prime and a sketch.
Xenothal
of white on. Nope, sketch. I didn't Xenothal. So I went and put all the highlights pre-highlights in by hand with the sketch.
Nice.
So been working on that this week when I had some time in the evenings, and that'll be my main project, I think, until I get him done. Then I'll go back to my Vikings. And
okay.
Awesome. Marty, did you get your miscellaneous Warhammer? No, Skaven.
Oh yeah. Oh.
And how did that shake out?
Your $150 or whatever.
For $140, I got a box of shit, and it's got all the goodies in it.
Nice. Good.
Yeah. So
good.
I got a bunch. Oh man. Hold on.
Get out the biggest one.
I was like, we had to ask about it because that was such a big. Could go either way.
So I got 3 knowholes. Super excited about that because I didn't have any yet. You heard what I said. I said what I said. Let's see here.
Those look like little Stargates.
Yeah, so we got one of those. Yeah, that's
exactly
kind of how they operate.
Yeah.
Because you can teleport in between them.
Oh, okay.
So I got I got the little leader dude on a giant rat beast. Let's see here. These guys are.
Oh, they're selling the sprues.
Some of them are. Yeah, these are all clan rats.
Yeah, that's what you need. You needed some.
Yeah, so I don't need to see them ever again.
Yes, he did.
That's not the joke. All right, I'm sorry.
For those keeping track at home, yes, he did.
Another gray seer. Let's see here. Engineer. Those are good guys. Gazelles. Those are like superhero rifles. There's 6 of those dudes.
Teams.
I'm gonna wreck some mofos with that. Super excited.
Yeah, and when he says mofos, he means me.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. Skaven are awesome.
And after I shoot you, I'm gonna roll over you with my 2 new Doom wheels.
Wow. Yeah, you
Nice.
did okay.
Yeah,
And then
they're
they're
expensive by themselves.
Yeah, and the whole thing, shipping included, $140. That's why I was like, man, I hope this guy isn't scamming. Nick, if you're out there, that's the guy I bought him from.
You're the man,
Right
Nick.
Right on, brother. I'm excited. And then I got a plague pack that I'll do nothing with because I've got 40 plague monks already. So
Cool.
But yeah, no, it came in. Yeah, very, very excited.
That's awesome.
And speaking of Grace here, Bill, your brother sent Marty and I a picture.
Yeah, Chris sent us a picture of he painted up a gray seer.
Yeah.
Pretty nice. He's got some skills.
What's a gray seer? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. What's a gray
Yeah, I
seer?
don't know either.
I don't play.
It's a target.
So
it is a target.
That's my gray seer in progress.
Okay, but what is? I can't see from here. What is a gray spear?
Yeah, remember we're audio and video, so you got to describe stuff to people.
All right, so Gray Seer is a AOS Skaven character, and he's one of the higher level guys. I mean, he's like upper middle class, if you will.
Wizard, right?
Yeah,
Wizard.
I was gonna say, and
Wizard,
and he gets to wreak the havoc on you with some magic. So he's gonna bring the power of the warp stone and put a whooping on you.
So is this like the pre or post Skaven after they changed all the lore with AOS?
Both. He survived.
Okay.
So he was in it previously, and he's still in it now.
OG rat.
Yeah.
Cool.
You can't take us down. We're like baby's kids. We don't die. We multiply.
Lord have mercy.
Bernie Mac, I miss him.
Jim, help me.
But yeah, that's what I've been working on.
Jim, bring some sanity back to this show.
I was basically waiting my turn. After I used up half of Chris's turn talking about Throne of Bloodstone. Apologies.
Oh no, you're perfectly fine.
You guys started talking about modules. That's like the only D&D thing I kind of remember. Then we did. What else did we do? It doesn't matter. Elric and Throne and Stormbringer.
Oh yeah.
And he took that. Our DM took that setting and put it into second edition, and we did that. But
Did you guys have a Doom of Annihilation?
No, in fact, we only met Elric once, and even then, we like kind of saw him at a distance because he had Stormbringer out and at work. My boy was punched into the clock. You didn't want to get too close to him when he's playing. He's putting his thing down. You don't want to be anywhere near him. There's like a 5 hex radius, so you don't want to be anywhere close to that. So my hobby has been a little thin. Because it was very thick before that. I built the entire game down to the pixel and ran all of Caisson Hill battles in April and May. I was Operation Prairie 4 in NOM 68. So some 3rd Marine Division up against a 325C Division of the NVA up there around Caisson. That was pretty exhausting. Thanks very much, Damon, for helping us out with that. Both those videos are up on our channel. And then right after that, and I mean right after that, we went into Iwo Jima. So we nailed the 19th February. So that's the 80th anniversary of the initial landings. So we did that. Part 2, I think, has gone up since the last time we did our podcast. So again, if you haven't checked it out so far, it's been really successful so far. To our viewers and our listeners, please check it out. See how that game wraps up. Since then, I've been doing some more tabletop gaming down at Dow's Creek House. That is home of the South Florida Miniatures Gaming Club down here in Fort Lauderdale. We used Mark Ritchie's 15mm tactical combat game system for the battle, or one of the battles of Matanacao. He's one of the big battles that you see in the series Pacific along Guadalcanal. So late October of 42. There's like 4 battles of the Matanacao, then there's Alligator Creek, and there's a whole bunch of them. This is one of the Marine Corps defensive battles that takes place as we've taken Henderson Field, and now we're trying to defend it against elements. So I think it's the Japanese 17th Army. So yeah, so it's a real bloodbath. Marines were on defense. My teammate and I did pretty well, although the enemy did come close. We did walk away with a win, but it was an ugly one. I do have it recorded, but I'm going to hold off on making any videos about it because you guys have. And by that, I mean our audience. I mean, I've done Marines at Caisson Part 2, Marines on Iwo Jima, Marines on Iwo Jima Part 2. And spoiler alert, next week, our good friend Peter Pizzeri is going to be running his Iwo Jima mega game at Dow's Creek House. So it's going to be another one of his 24-foot tables. I don't think we're going to live stream that. I may record some of it. So try not to gag, but there's more Marines in the Pacific on your way. So when it comes to Guadalcanal, I wanted to hold off a little bit. Yeah, but other than that, actually got started on a new position, a new job. So free time has been a little tight recently, as you know, you get ramped up on a new position. Right. Yep. So nothing really in the can yet. My 66 new Middle East, North Africa insurgents are kind of stuck on my desk. They've been half painted now for about 5 or 6 weeks. I got to get them across the finish line because I got a whole other 20mm army that I can't put on the table and play. They have no one to shoot at the moment. So yeah, I'm in holding pattern in a couple places, but hope to be back in the production pipeline pretty soon.
That's quite a bit. And I think I did you proud last Sunday, Jim. The Marines held on the hill.
Yeah, it was very, very similar battle. It was Marines on Guadalcanal. It was the same battle, not exactly the same battle, but it was a lot like yours. It was one of those desperate defensive battles.
I honestly thought I lost, because I was down to two counters, 2 units, and it said I had a decisive victory. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know about decisive victory, but that's what the game said.
It was decisive survival.
Yeah.
Right? I tell you what, it was hard playing in on the PC because they really did the night fog of war, and it was tough, man. That was tough.
When I designed, I didn't code it, but when I designed the scenarios for their for their Eastern Front expansion, it was supposed to be the DLC. I designed their Stalingrad campaign. It was supposed to be the DLC for a more generalized Eastern Front expansion. It turned out just to be the whole game because I guess they liked what I sent them. And I mean, I play tested the crap out of those games because it's supposed to be a complete recreation of the Hex Encounter, tabletop board game.
Yeah.
In the PC, and they come really close. But one of the things I noticed, and sometimes this worked to your advantage, sometimes it did. By the way, you had some terrible ass rolls.
Yeah, yes, I did.
That whole stream, and all gamers like to bitch about their die rolls, but you came by it honest. Yeah. You earned that. You were rolling 11s and 12s, and the enemy's rolling 3s, 4s, and 5s. And in that game, you want to roll low on 2d6. And I'm just like, oh my God. Those British Paras got friggin' butchered, dude. But anyway. Yeah, like one thing I noticed, because what winds up happening is during the enemy movement, you get to pick when you take your opportunity fire. You shoot as a reaction against enemy movement. And because it's the enemy's turn, it's the AI's turn in the computer version, the computer decides when your guys take opportunity fire. And I'm like, that's not when I would have taken opportunity fire,
Truth.
There are big differences, like especially when you're getting charged. One time you were getting charged by Japanese. He's still in the woods coming at you 2 hexes away, and now you take your opportunity fire. I'm like, you just got totally robbed. If you know Valor and Victory, number one, you're paying 2 points for the woods when the hex between you and the woods is clear.
Yeah.
He's got to cross clear. And then number 2, if you take opportunity fire at point blank range, you get a -2 bonus. So you got a 4-point swing there in your dice modifier from a +2 penalty to a -2 bonus. If you just waited 1 more hex.
Yeah.
But the machine makes it for you, and sometimes it's not the choice I would have made.
Yeah. Yeah, so for those who may not have watched last Sunday, I did 2 campaigns, or 2 battles. I did Arnhem, the Race to the Bridge, Major Lewis, and then because that one ended so quickly, I added on Guadalcanal, one of the mountain hilltops, Defense of the Hilltop, and that one was under night rules, and the PC, the computer simulated night combat very well. So it was quite a bit a challenge, but I was going to try and have Dawn join me to play one side, but believe it or not, guys, in the 21st century, they are still playing these games by email. So meaning I literally, just like in the old days, I take a turn, the game freezes. It sends an email to the opponent and says, hey, they've taken their turn. It's now your turn. You got to log back into the game, make your moves, do your turn, and then it sends another email to the other player and says, hey, they've taken their turn, and go back and forth.
24 hours later.
It has never worked. Even for most game systems, even back in the day, that never worked.
Yeah.
Because how do you do things like opportunity fire? How do you do things like react movement? I mean, it depends on the system that you're recreating.
Well, it like for reactive fire, Jim, it literally would stop. So,
that seems like very 1994.
Oh no, this is 1970s shit. They used to be play by mail.
That's snail mail gaming.
I was gonna say that was a postcard.
That was snail mail gaming, and you would agree on a company that you would watch in the New York Stock Exchange, and like the fractional cents, like on the stock price. Like, it's never just pennies. It's used back then. It was like such and such and an eighth, such and such and a quarter, such and such and 3/8 or whatever. And you would go by that fraction. That was your die result.
Yeah. So
I mean, it was a dark time. It was a dark and brutal age.
So yeah, there you are. Slytherin Games still playing by email servers. Come on, man. It's 21st century. They're nice guys. I've talked to them. We've interviewed
historical war gamers that are stuck in history in more ways than one. I mean, I put up with it sometimes at our club. I'm like, really, guys? An email thread?
Yeah.
This is not anymore.
Yeah. So I guess that leads us into our topic: past, present, or future for "quote unquote" historical war games or war games in general. What is the best path? And the reason I say that is because interests change constantly. Is it the past historical stuff that interests people? Is it the present, or is it the future? Because we're seeing a lot more of near future, futuristic, modern stuff coming out. Blackout, In Country, Spectre Ops, Skirmish Sanguine.
asymmetric warfare,
on and on and on and on. And then you have your classics. You have Bolt Action, Flames of War, Command, Chain of Command, Battle Group. Again, on and on and on and on and on. And of course, you can't forget the Zulu Wars. Black Powder.
He had to find a way to work it in there. He just had to.
Truth. So, if you're looking at where do you think the most interest can be generated? Is it stuff from the past, stuff that's currently happening, or potential future conflicts or battles or weapons or whatnots? Jesse, you're younger than all of us. What's your input?
It's media input. TV, movies, all that stuff. It's same thing when you were growing up. I'm sure you watched the Zulu movie before you played the game.
Oh, yeah, 100 times
that's where you
at
get
least.
interest in that
point.
General media.
Yeah.
A lot of guys I was in the military with, they loved all the special forces of the modern day, Black Hawk Down, all the current stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. Our unit's very historical.
Yeah.
Band of Brothers, for instance, they made us watch Band of Brothers as soon as we joined the unit.
Yeah.
But it didn't pique interest with a lot of folks. I already had interest in World War II, but modern day stuff and futuristic gaming, because of Halo and other video games and media from my generation, has piqued interest in that for people of my age.
Right.
But I honestly, I think that it just depends on what you watched or get your ideas from.
I guess from another standpoint, and anybody jump in on this, is sometimes I feel World War II has been played to death.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
The battles have been fought. They've been fought 100,000 times, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying. I mean, I love World War II. Don't get me wrong. I am not bashing it whatsoever. I'm just saying from a flash creative new standpoint, the shiny syndrome, the potential for current, near future, futuristic scenarios in combat and space combat and modern weapons and whatever. I mean, I don't think it's going to be too long before we see a war game based on drone warfare.
Oh yeah,
100%.
That's already incorporated into many of the modern gaming systems.
Yeah, but I'm talking about where you actually have a unit, and that's all you are, is you're a drone unit.
Sure.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. I concur.
Yeah.
Because it reflects current operations. And, kind of like how Jesse was talking about what your media influences were, and then going to the going to the 101st and then making them watch Band of Brothers. Part of the reason why I like modern warfare and particularly I like modern skirmish stuff is because that relates very much to my own personal experience in the military.
Right.
I agree.
And hopefully I'm better at it, on the table, and I get to do more stuff. Hey, not gonna lie, as an MP, I was a fobbing a lot. I got to do some stuff, but I didn't get to do all the stuff I could do in a game.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't have the knees for doing L-shaped ambush anymore.
No, my back is blown. So,
And that's another good point right there. Is like, it's a fantasy. Obviously, you're not in World War II. You're not Vietnam, the Zulu War. Like, this is for you to live out your fantasy of what that part was. And I think that also draws people in.
Yeah.
For me, there's a number of different things that would pique my curiosity. One, when we hit these magical anniversaries, 80 years of this and stuff like that, that makes you, want to look back at it or watch it on the show or play it.
But would you have been as interested in it 20 years ago? Do you think it's an age thing where you've got more experience and varied interests?
I don't know. One of the things when Jim was saying it was 80 years ago was Iwo Jima. I just had an anniversary a couple of weeks ago. 40 years ago, on the 25th was when I first joined the Army.
Damn, you're old.
OAF.
Yeah.
But and to your point, Chris, to take it maybe a step further, I think that it's not just nostalgia, but it's a way that we can honor what many of us would consider to be our greatest generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we want to be, live vicariously through them.
Yeah.
But we have to go in the past and do it via this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
and for me, it's a lot of what just pops up. I might be reading a book, and it might be about the Folder Gap or something. And you want to play that,
There's a nasty one.
Yeah.
And then, the other thing about, especially something like World War II, due to the scale of it, in particular, think, the number of heroes, regardless of what it is, whether, you want a pilot, a naval captain, the general of the armies, or just some grunt or small unit, all the heroic actions, and you're like, man, they beat all the odds. They somehow came through that. I want to feel what it felt like to be able to beat all those odds and get through this thing.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Those are all good points. And I think we also have
this much specifically about World War II. I've been writing, reading, publishing, designing, gaming World War II since I was 12. So that's 40 years now plus. I haven't found the bottom yet.
Yeah.
I have stretched my arms out either side. I haven't hit any walls. Earlier on in April, we did the world's bloodiest tennis court. It was this tiny little battle on the border of what is today Bangladesh and India that took place in April of 1944. I had never heard of it. The second I mentioned it at the club, John was like, "Oh, I know that battle." Like, so I know what you're saying, Bill, and you're totally right. All the battles have been done to death. That's because a lot of people are like, yeah, we've all seen Band of Brothers. We've all seen Saving Private Ryan. Those battles have been done absolutely like a railroad spike into the ground.
Right.
If you dig around, you'll find, oh my God, Operation Ironclad, when we had to invade Madagascar against the Vichy French. How many people? I've done it once in Panzerleader. I didn't build an army for it because how many times are you going to play that game?
Yeah.
There's a million little things. Good God, you get into the Soviet front, you get into the Eastern Front, forget about it.
Yeah.
Like Napoleonics, you'll never find your way out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and again, so much heroic action, at different levels, all the way from the individual guy to squads, platoons, companies, on up to this division. The 77th Division over in the Pacific, the old bastards. Come on, it's the old bastards,
right?
If I got to be in one in World War II, those are the guys I want to be, and they kicked ass.
They were one of the guys I want to be. Yeah, some army divisions like the 27th. Those poor guys, they got a really shit end of the stick, but yeah.
Well,
the army tends to get overlooked a lot in the Pacific because Marine Corps, but well over half the fighting and probably 80% of the amphibious landings were done by the Army because there aren't enough Marines.
And we have more boats than the Navy does, so why not?
Yeah. Well, here's another little thing to think about. For our Generation X, I'm going to just throw that out. And this is a very broad statement, but a lot of it's going to be very true, is we're the last generation that actually had contact with the greatest generation. You think about it, there's still a few veterans out there. Don't get me wrong. There's still some, but the younger kids today did not have grandparents. And I'm talking first generation grandparents, your grandfather, grandmother, who were, young during World War II. And you got to hear the stories about it.
Most of us are Gen X.
Yeah.
So our parents are baby boomers, and that makes our grandparents greatest generation.
Yeah. So as we've gotten further from that,
like four great uncles. Like that whole belt of my family was over there. My grandfather and like four great uncles in one area or another.
Yeah. So based on that, I see a lot of, unless they're watching a movie, the younger generations are just not getting it. And again, it's not a slam against anybody. It's just the realities is I don't have any connection to anybody that was in Napoleon Wars. So, right. I mean, I like it because it's colorful and, it stands out from army drabs and blacks and tans and browns and greens. So
you get to use the rest of the paints in your
exactly.
So, Bill, here's something though. Think about this. You're talking about not having that direct connection to World War II. So, Jim, when we went, we all went to high school together, and we had a history teacher named Mr. Stevens.
Yep.
Mr. Stevens was a World War II veteran. He was involved in the invasion of Sicily. And when you didn't want to do something in class, you're like, "Hey, Mr. Stevens, tell us about that time that you and just close your book."
Class.
40 minutes of we were driving down the road in the Jeep and the Diggles were putting these wires across there. We had to weld these rods up there so he wouldn't kill my gunner. He was banging them off.
Tell us about Agrigento. Tell us about Palermo. Tell us about Messina.
Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes he'd be onto you for that, and then all you had to do was mention the mob in Chicago, and then he was off again.
Yeah, he was a caddy for the mobsters.
Turns out he might have known a little too much about the outfit.
Yeah, but one of my favorite stories.
I'm just saying.
One of my favorite stories is because he actually ended up in the 101st for D-Day. I don't know what happened where he got from Sicily to the 101st. I don't know if he was with the 82nd, got wounded, and got retransferred to the 101st, or when they were deploying the 101st initially to England, they needed manpower, experienced people. They transferred him over. But he told us.
Are you accusing him of stolen valor?
No.
It's probably a training cadre.
Yeah, I mean, they took a lot of people from the 82nd to man up the 101st.
The same thing happened to the 101st when the 17th. They tried to get the 17th online.
Yeah,
they needed a bunch of
because you got to remember by the time
not everyone in the division can be a cherry. You have to get some.
Yeah.
Well, that's how my unit started.
And somebody's got to train the new guys.
Yeah, because you got to remember by the time the 101st got to England, 82nd had already been in North Africa, Sicily, and they'd already jumped in and and all that stuff. So they already had the battlefield experience. So
they basically missed North Africa. I mean, they landed in friggin' the wrong country.
Yeah, well, it still counts, Jim. It still counts.
Barely hit Sicily.
That counts. Yeah.
Airborne operations were obsolete even back then.
Shut up, Marty. They're not obsolete.
No point.
Shut up.
They did better than the British in Sicily. In Sicily, the British literally missed the island. 200 of them landed.
They didn't even hit the ground. That doesn't count.
Yeah. Ask 101st how well they did in Normandy. Did anybody hit their mark?
I don't think anybody hit their mark.
They hit, sir. They hit France.
It was a pretty big mark to miss. So,
look, nobody hit their drop zones. You got to remember, back in the day, we were talking about guys with the boxes with flashlights in it that open up the signal, the planes coming in, the Pathfinders.
The radius of what the term means, they missed their drop zone, got steadily smaller as we got better at it.
Yeah.
Not a single soldier of the 82nd engaged or even entered the combat area before that whole friggin' campaign was over. I mean, they were lost. Yeah. It's amazing they found half those guys.
The drop zone is the ground.
Pretty much.
Gravity works still.
They
all made it there.
They didn't miss the planet. They didn't hit planet Earth. They did not miss the planet.
Yeah.
And then in Sicily, this is a famous. We actually did this at the Battle of Bizarro Ridge back in 2013 for the 80th anniversary of that. Gavin, who was a battalion commander at the time,
Jumpin' Jim Gavin.
Or the regimental commander. He may have been an RCT commander. He may have been a full colonel by then. He hits the deck and he has no idea where he is. And he spends the first 6 hours of that invasion convinced he's landed in Italy. He literally landed on the wrong not the wrong country, but the wrong landmass.
Yeah.
And it's not till 6 hours when the sun comes up and he can look around. He's like, okay, we are actually in Sicily. We're just, God knows where.
God.
So, no, on 101st, no one hit their drop zones in Normandy, but I mean, they were off by 6 miles, 5 miles. That's a disaster, but
it's not as bad as Arnhem.
There's a lot of
that's how we got
factors to that too, though. So,
yeah. But anyways, so I mean,
groups of paratroopers.
It's stuff like that. Having personal connections that gives you a little bit more interest, and then obviously movies and media. To Jesse's point,
And to go back onto that, and for historical wargaming, it's going to be much more popular than current wargaming because it's going to be smaller scale with the skirmishes and stuff like that instead of large battles. There's large battles with your guys' time in Iraq and Afghanistan, but when I was over there, it was more of a peacekeeping operation. Like we were shutting down everything, and we got shot at and blown up.
Well, we didn't have any large scale anything other than cordon and surge and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, but you know what? When I was over there, we just drove around and made sure nobody was doing something stupid. We were more MPs than we were in direct combat or anything like that.
Well, to your point, Jesse, I am an MP. Exactly. What do you think I was doing, buddy? And then we ran a theater detention facility.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I would call
for the majority of our 9 months. We delivered prisoners. We drove route clearance to make sure roads weren't getting bombed or IEDs laid, and we were shutting down the FOBs because this was 2013. We were supposed to be leaving Afghanistan in 2013 when I was there. They literally said that when I was eating my Thanksgiving dinner. So
that's when we should have left.
Yeah.
Because I left in.
But
Pop just asked.
I left in December 12, and
May 10th,
that's what they were doing. Where I was at in Kandahar.
Yeah, but
when did we finally get the guy? Should have been out of there by the end of 2012 because we killed him in 2011, right? May of 2011 is when they finally got him.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Why are we there by the end of 2012 at the latest? But,
well, Marty's
the Taliban weren't ready to take over.
Yeah.
And then there's that.
We had to fund and train them first to give them all the rest of our shit.
I was at one of the largest A&A compounds in the area working with the general.
Well, so there's that. So let's transition to other types of games.
Feels like, all right.
Well, I mean, if we're okay, so we're talking about like where the biggest bang for our buck is.
Yeah, where's your biggest bang, Jim?
Okay. Well, kind of like other people have already said, it depends on what you're looking for. But these are the three big advantages for the three basic time periods in our little slice. History, that's where you get your authenticity from.
Mm-hmm.
If you set up your war game and you're doing, Little Round Top at Gettysburg, everyone knows what the fuck you're talking about. And people can check each other's work and, the grognards can come over and what you're doing feels legitimate. It feels academic. It feels, very, puff on your pipe and, you're actually doing something serious. You're not just playing with toy soldiers, except, of course, you're just playing with toy soldiers. But no, this is serious business because this actually happened and, everyone's heard of it and blah, blah, blah.
No, it was serious the day it happened.
Yeah, now.
It's not 1863. Let's go.
And of course, with current, like cutting edge, like the Ukraine games we do.
Yeah.
As far back as this is very biased, but current for me starts at Desert Storm.
Mm-hmm.
So Desert Storm, Somalia, even though that was 30 years ago, Desert Storm, Somalia into everything else that's going on into the late 90s, all the Balkan stuff. Of course, War on Terror, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, everything else. That's not as many people are going to know about that. Some people are going to get this is where you're going to get some of the pushback. Oh, it's too soon. You shouldn't be doing that. You're being disrespectful.
Well, to your point, Jim, and I've never thought about it in that way until you said it. All that stuff that you just named, I'm like, I was in the service and in some way or fashion participated or supported.
That's what I'm saying. I'm kind of biased when I say that.
I guess that makes it all right. Fair enough. That makes it
kind of like it's strictly by technically, I guess you would call Panama.
It's a 35-year time span that we're talking about, but
yeah.
But yes, and it makes it very personally relevant to us.
Yeah,
to us and a lot of our fellow gamers who are approximately the same age.
Yeah, because
even if they weren't in the service, they saw it on the news. They had a friend that went over there.
Sure,
something like that. And as far as so you get your authenticity from like deep historical. That's where you get your authenticity. For modern current stuff, that's where you get your immediacy. That's where you get your
wow factor.
I don't want to say shock, but that's where you get your wow, this happened. This is happening. This is real.
Right.
This is happening right now. Like Trust me, we do battles. I got a game in the can. I'm not running it right now because of all the politics that are surrounding it right now. But we got a game in the can for like this year. No, earlier in 2024 for Ukraine, with some of the Leopard 2s and everything else like that in there. So that's recorded. That's in the can. I'll roll it out eventually. Then we got some more stuff from 2022. We have Busha in the can, the world's most important cement mixer in military history. That's in there. This is stuff that's happened like now, and that's where you get your immediacy and your immediate like line of sight connection. This is happening. This is affecting the world right now. And then of course, when you get into your near future stuff, is where you get your freedom.
Yeah.
Because who the hell knows what's going to happen? So either near future or even into science fiction, like military science fiction. And those are two different things. China invades Taiwan. That's like speculative fiction. You get into all the Tom Clancy stuff, all the Ralph Peters stuff. Stuff like that. That's your speculative near future or potential near future. It includes alternate history like Team Yankee. Team Yankee isn't really modern. It's alternate history at this point.
Yep.
And then we get into your true science fiction. That's where, not to be cliche, but, the sky's the limit at that point.
Yep.
Sure.
You can still apply very strict military principles, tactics, doctrine, technological trends. Like you guys were mentioning, everything's in drones. When we sat down and I wrote Dark Star, I set it 500 years in the future, and I put a human race on a trajectory, almost like Dune, where there was like this revolt against AI, because if everything just continues the way it's going, our first war on Mars is going to be fought completely by drone, completely by robot. And who the hell wants to play a robot, in a war game?
We're not going to Mars. Skynet will quash that.
Even if we ever do go and we do end up in a fight out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've never met a war gamer who wants to play a robot. So we had to come up with a way where AI was kind of smashed.
Might want to be the pilot of one, but not.
Well, if it's a pilot, it's not really a robot then.
Right. No, I'm with you. I'm just saying
if I have heard one more person call BattleTech Big Stompy Robots.
Big Stompy Robots.
Big Stompy Robot. Big Stompy Robot.
I'm going to twist your head off like a chicken. It's not a robot. There's a guy inside driving it. That's not what. Look up the word robot in the dictionary, you illiterate bastards.
It's his robot.
Actually, Marty and I met someone the other day while we were drinking Hurricanes, and he was talking about Big Stompy Robots too.
And he was talking about BattleTech. But neither here nor there. He's a young kid.
Look up what the word robot means.
Hey,
I know what it means.
He's a young kid that we're getting into our church league for gaming. So
cool.
Yeah.
Are you going to teach him? Are you bringing BattleTech to the gaming club? Marty, you bringing BattleTech to your gaming club?
No.
I'm not. I'm going to make this kid do it.
Cool. It's a great game.
The Alpha Strike, at least at first, you're going to scare away all your potential gamers.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to get really into the weeds in a game, there's a game that, the clans, and then you got all your diagrams and your heat sinks, and that you shot this many missiles, or your lasers, your phasers, and you overheated, you can't move, your servos out.
It's too crunchy for me. I don't want to track all that shit.
Yeah.
Get yourself 3 Mad Cats. Strip out those useless tiny little medium lasers they have there. They don't hit shit anyway, and use that for extra heat sinks. And your little PPC 15s will shoot every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And you watch your enemy start to overheat as he wonders why you're not overheating. And you're like, I got 2 extra heat sinks in my mech because I took out those stupid, whatever the hell, tertiary weapons that don't do good.
I know.
So this is why I like playing in country. Hey, my guy's going to move 3 inches and murder you. Let's go.
Yeah, but you know what? There's a group out there that likes crunchy stuff. I played BattleTech, Mech Warrior back in the day. When it was at FASA, it was called Mech Warrior. And
BattleTech was the war game. Mech Warrior was the video game. That's when they split the license.
Okay, well, but I remember it was under a different name back in the day. But I mean, here's a kid in high school, and we're playing this, and we didn't have plastic minis. We had standees. They came with printed standees, and
that's how it started.
Yep.
These little fold-up boxes.
Yep. And and you had this sheet, and you had all these diagrams and graphs and heat sinks and count for your missiles and your lasers and it was pretty impressive. And granted, after a while, but I don't think a game like that could be made today if it hadn't already been done back then. I mean, it has a strong following today, but a lot of that's due to Alpha Strike rules. It's streamlined, but there's still a lot of people who are really, really dedicated to that game.
I mean, you could probably find a way to get it to be more modernized that people.
Don't change it, man. You already got Alpha Strike. Just leave it alone, okay? Leave the classic a classic, all right?
Well, fine. If you want a crunchy game, just play Orcs and Warhammer and go.
There are no more Orcs.
Go shooting. Literally, you're gonna roll 1,000,000 dice.
I was gonna say, you look up with a shopping bag full of dice and call it good.
Pretty much.
Go ahead, Jim.
The problem with that, I don't want to say the problem, because I mean, Battletech's an old favorite of mine too. I used to run it literally for money at a club back in the 90s.
Work it.
Back in the 90s, and you would play it, and it's not bad if you just play the mechs out of the book. The problem was Battletech allows you to customize your own mech, and once you start doing that is when it really gets hairy.
Yeah.
Because you get down into you're almost virtually building your own mech, and it's the math that's involved there. I mean, it's you got to open up a spreadsheet. When I built Darkstar, if you open up a Darkstar warship record sheet, looks a little bit like an old battle mech, an old Battletech mech sheet.
Yeah.
We don't use little bubbles. We use like these little squares and stuff like that. But the weapons hit, and it's actually a little bit more advanced than Battletech because Battletech will hit. It's another FASA game, but Battletech will hit, and it'll do X amount of points, and you have to see where it was: your left arm, your right arm, your chest. Okay, that's fine. Here, it's never by dice because your ship is facing a certain way, your enemy's guns are facing a certain way. You just got hit. Your port bow, not your starboard quarter, your port bow just got hit.
Yeah.
You have to roll to see where exactly on the facing, but then the weapon not only does a certain number of points, but a certain number of points in a certain shape. You can have cavitation for torpedoes and all this other stuff. And now it gets into, do you want your lasers to hit first and then hope when your torpedoes goes into that hole and then detonates inside the enemy's hangar? And it gets, it's fun. You'll be at it for 6 hours, but it's, but how I did that, we have this little thing called Microsoft Excel, and we can sit here and build your fleet in 5 minutes with spreadsheets. I remember back in the day doing Battletech with graph paper and an old Texas Instruments, the game takes 6 hours. That's bad enough. It's 10 hours of prep to get your lance ready for any kind of decent scrap.
Yeah. And there's actually RPG for Battletech's called Lancer.
Yeah.
Is it Mech Warrior, or have they changed the name of it?
Well, I don't know. The one I'm in is Lancer. We're doing a sci-fi where it's Suns Without Number is the overall world-ish,
right?
Kind of, but it's in the Traveler maps. And Lancer is the mech side of it.
Okay. That might be something I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, I'm not. That doesn't sound familiar to me either. Starts
off as Battle Droids in '84. Then they get sued by George Lucas because apparently the word droid. I'm serious. They got sued.
Yeah.
So it went to Battletech, and Battletech is the war game. Mech Warrior is the RPG because they came out with an RPG based on Battletech a little bit later, and then it gets really confusing because then they split the license between what was still FASA back then and Microsoft. And Microsoft was doing all the Battletech war game stuff in computer, and they called it Mech Warrior because that's not confusing at all.
Right.
So yeah, even when you say Mech Warrior, sometimes people don't know what you're talking about because there's the computer game and then there's the tabletop role playing game set in the Battletech universe. And
hey, as long as they all have BSRs.
BSRs?
Yeah, big stumpy robots.
You walked into that one, Jim.
Yeah,
I did. And Chris, I'm proud of you for being able to set that up, buddy. I'm proud of you.
I blame this. Free advertising. I blame this.
All right, then. Any last thoughts, Dawn?
No, not today.
Nah. We talked so much historical. It just... Jesse?
Well, no, because one of our topics was future sci-fi.
That's true. You know, you do have your
inside
sci-fi.
every grognard, inside every grognard that's fixing bayonets and counting buttons on a Napoleonic 28 millimeter table. There's an old sci-fi gamer.
True.
Hey, are you calling Don an old sci-fi gamer?
I know.
I played Napoleonic and counted buttons.
I mean,
I think you need to check yourself. I don't think I've ever seen Don on a Napoleonic table counting buttons, correcting people on the piping of the Prussian Grenadiers. So.
Oh, you get a couple of cocktails in her. Let me tell you.
Jesse, anything?
No, I'm fine.
You're fine. He's like,
I'm good.
Screw it.
I don't know.
A bunch of old.
I already got my part out.
All right, Marty, what you got to sum us up?
Smooth brains, no thoughts.
Okay.
Go. Sounds about right.
Chris?
I'm brain dead. I'm good.
That was different than any other minute of the day.
Oh, you should have seen me Saturday.
Yeah.
Not a good sight.
No.
Wasn't good.
Okay. Jim, any final thoughts, sir?
I've had a couple final thoughts. I'll be quiet while I'm still at it.
Jim, I'm there with you. I know the difference between a mech and a robot.
It's a robot.
A robot is something that's autonomous. A mech has to be driven by somebody,
So you're
operated by
telling me that they
somebody.
can't be autonomous on their own?
A
Mechs
battle
cannot
mech
be.
is a two-legged war machine. You wouldn't call a tank a
Bipedal.
robot. I don't care how much electronics there's in it. There's somebody inside driving it, sometimes more than one person.
Right.
Sir, have you ever
It's not
seen
a robot.
this amazing video game called Titanfall? They are big stompy robots who are also mechs because they can control themselves when the human gets out. So they got both.
All right. Well, with that,
That's if the mech can operate as an autonomous AI control, it can operate on its own.
Yep.
And make its own decisions. A robot has to be able to think for itself.
right.
So I guess there's three things. There's either a combat vehicle, a mech.
All right.
There's a guy inside.
All right, here we go.
Levers.
Thanks, Jesse.
Uh-oh.
Good job.
All right. You asked me if I had any, you asked me if I had any final
Here-
thoughts. I said,
Hey,
I let him finish his
Hey,
final
boys,
thoughts.
welcome to hour 2.
yeah.
I had any final thoughts.
Go ahead with your final
So
thoughts, Jim.
An unpiloted vehicle, like a drone, is not technically a robot. There's somebody controlling it.
Yep.
And then there's a truly autonomous thing that is, you give it a mission, you give it some orders, then it has its own programming that has it make its own decision. Now it's autonomous, like you said, Bill.
Yeah.
Exactly correct. Now it's a robot.
Right.
And you know what? We've all served. We know people that you can call robots because they have no thinking on their own.
They're definitely not.
You go
autonomous.
over there.
Okay.
You're basically giving them the same thing. You're giving them a set of pre-programmed instructions. Go.
Well, on that note,
Conquer, attack.
on that
And-
note,
and then
guys, we're gonna go ahead and close down this discussion.
Before Skynet does.
Thank you for joining us. Watch for Blackout coming Sunday, and next weekend. I have not a freaking clue. And then the following weekend, we are not available, right? Or we'll be around. We'll probably do a broadcast from Illinois.
Well, we'll see. I've had
I will be broadcasting.
There's been
from
a death
Illinois.
on my side of the family, and we have to go up for
Yeah.
the funeral. So
Oh, sorry.
Sorry about
thank
that.
you.
So we'll try and do. I mean, even if I have to do it from my cell phone, iPad, we can do it Saturday. It'll be a live show because we'll have to do it Saturday morning because we'll be traveling Friday. And,
Well, I mean, for content, if you can handle, you're already handling tomorrow.
Yep.
If you can handle the 9th and the 16th, I can be back online and do my normal 2 in a month, the 23rd and the 30th.
if you're sure, Jim, I know you were going to take a break, and it's fine. It just as far as like the podcast show,
Oh, okay.
it'd probably be limited. I mean, if you could do something that weekend, the 24th.
That
Right.
weekend. Yeah.
Yep. The weekend of the
The
24th.
22nd and 23rd.
Yes,
I
sir.
can come up with some Sunday content, some pre-recorded Sunday content by
Okay.
then.
All right. And then, like I said, I'll probably just do a show from the iPad Saturday morning. We'll just do a live podcast, and Dawn can sleep in the hotel or wherever we decide to stay and go from there because we don't have the actual funeral till Monday, right?
Correct.
Right. So, all All right, because we got to get our fill of some macaloos and we got to get some beef and, all that stuff that we can't get down here in Tennessee. So, yeah.
Get you an Italian beef.
Yeah. And we got to go see Mutt and Jeff. Which one's Mutt? Which one's Jeff?
Hard telling.
Okay.
Depends on the day.
All right.
Well, one of them is leaving Sunday after getting shaved.
What's Sunday?
Yeah, on the 23rd.
What's Sunday?
23rd.
I know. What's Sunday? Where are you guys going?
I am going down to St. Louis for the International Law Enforcement Educators and Trainers Association Conference.
Oh, okay.
But that you are getting shaved first, right?
Yeah. For St. Paul, Dirk.
At the Roundhouse in Aurora.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then I'm leaving directly from there.
So are we going to lose the Sultan of Sideburns and the Maharaja of Mutton Chops?
No. We're just going to take it down temporarily.
Gotcha.
They will be gone though for in the end of May.
They'll be in dry dock.
So I believe there was a guy that said it best. I'll be back.
All right. All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and close out the show with that. Thank you very much. Please like, subscribe, and share this video and all our content with your friends, your neighbors, your war game buddies, and anybody else that you think would enjoy our content. We're steadily on the uphill climb of growing, and we can't do it without you. And thank you very much. And we will see you in the next show. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.